I used to think I was doing everything right for my hair, but no matter what I tried, my hair just wasn't getting any longer. Eventually, I realized the problem wasn't my hair, it was the advice I was following. So in this video, I'm ranking the most common hair growth tips to show you which ones actually help you grow longer, healthier hair and which ones are holding you back. I know this video is going to ruffle some feathers. If something I rank lowly just works for you, please keep doing it. This is obviously my personal opinions based on some research, my experience, and others anecdotes that I found on the internet. You are free to disagree, and I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section if you do. I will be using a typical tier ranking system. These are the categories that we are going to be working with. S tier is for the hair growth methods or tips that are very effective and are evidence-based. A tier is for advice that is, generally speaking, good advice that won't hurt you. It might help you achieve your goals, but it's not necessarily backed by the evidence we have. B tier is for advice that I don't necessarily think is wrong, but is either very overhyped or will be hit or miss for most people. C tier is for advice that I think, generally speaking, is bad advice. It might work for some people, but I think it won't work for most. And D tier is for stuff that I personally think you should never do. I'm gonna start off with bantana oil.
Hair product scams you should be aware of. Probably the biggest hair scam of them all, bantana oil, that not only tells you can regrow your hair, but that it cures balding as well. Popularized by Alfredo Bowman, or Dr. Sebi, already the first red flag, who claimed to cure major diseases with herbs. And bantana oil has been out of control ever since.
It's quite hard for me to understand why this is so popular. I personally suspect that the reason so many haircare influencers are now claiming that this is the thing that has helped them grow longer hair is because they then can sell you these hair growth concoctions they've made. Bantana oil is rich in fatty acids and antioxidants, but there is no research backing up the idea that it would help your hair grow faster. Oils in general are good for hair, especially kinky hair. They reduce friction, they add shine, they can improve elasticity. Some oils can also penetrate into the hair shaft, which is likely to be the case for bantana oil. I've seen dermatologists say that it can be good for the scalp, but oils can also trigger a seborrheic dermatitis and irritate your scalp depending on the individual. Either way, if you want to try it out, you can get it for extremely cheap online, and I don't think that it will hurt you. So bantana oil is going into B tier. Speaking of oils, let's talk about coconut oil as a prepoo.
I will never use raw coconut oil on my hair again. It made my hair dry. My hair was dry. It was like straw that you feed cows. And I was so confused because in the beginning of my natural hair journey, everybody kept saying, yes, coconut oil is the way, is the best oil to use for prepoo, for natural hair, you penetrate kinika kinika. But why was it making my hair so lifeless?
I have advocated for this before on my channel. I love coconut oil as a prepoo. Coconut oil has a ton of evidence behind it helping for length retention. It can penetrate deep into your hair and it's going to help with protein loss. It's also going to lower your hair's porosity. Some studies also show it helps combat certain forms of yeast on the scalp. The benefits of coconut oil on hair are well documented. However, I know a lot of people do not like coconut oil. And from this, I've seen two myths sort of erupt when it comes to coconut oil. The first is the idea that coconut oil contains protein and therefore contributes to protein overload. And that can be true because there is no protein in coconut oil. The second is that because coconut oil prevents protein loss, it contributes to protein overload, which also isn't true. In fact, this logic stems from a misunderstanding of the way protein treatments work. This is for an entire video entirely, but protein overload is likely not a thing at all. But coconut oil makes your hair feel awful, so something is going on. It's likely that what you're experiencing is not some sort of protein overload, but the coconut oil turning into a solid. Coconut oil's melting point is around room temperature, so if you apply coconut oil in your bathroom, where it's nice and hot, but you go outside, where it's a few degrees colder, it's going to solidify around your hair strands and make your hair feel stiffer. This is why I use a coconut oil serum. Do not use raw coconut oil. It's so much harder to remove as well. You will not have a problem with a product like this. I promise you. It's actually going to seep into your hair overnight. It's not going to solidify, and it's not going to make your hair feel stiff. Coconut oil as a prepoo goes into S tier. Okay, so next up we have blunt cuts.
Let's talk about blunt cuts because we got to clear some stuff up. I see a lot of confusion. Why would you say never get a blunt cut? Blunt cuts make my hair look thicker. I'm not talking about what makes your hair look thicker. I'm talking about what makes your hair longer. Blunt cuts are not sustainable for fine hair girls because one, our hair just breaks off quickly. Blunt cut kept me between maybe neck length and armpit length for 10 to 15 years. You're wondering, oh, my hair doesn't grow. Cause you trying to maintain a blunt cut.
Blunt cuts are, in my opinion, one of the worst things to have happen in the natural hair community. You most likely have watched enough hair-related content to know our hair grows in cycles. It goes through a growth period, a resting period, and then a shedding period. All hair on your head is not in the same phase at the same time, otherwise you'll be bald every X years. This means that even in an idealistic world, your hair strands will never all be the same length. When you continuously try to maintain blunt cuts, you lose out on a lot more length than if you were trying to maintain your natural layers. Look at it this way. Take 10 strands of hair that all hit around the same point because you just got your hair cut blunt. Over the course of the next few months, they all will be in different phases, meaning some of them will shed, then regrow, and all of this doesn't happen simultaneously, so you will inevitably get back to a layer cut as your hair grows out. And because the hair at the top of your head needs to become so much longer to hit at the same point than the hair closer to your kitchen area, you have to trim that said hair closer to your kitchen area over and over and over. I genuinely believe that this is part of the reason why so many women who always get blunt cuts stay stuck around shoulder length. So blunt cuts go into C tier. If your goal is to grow your hair as long as possible, stop getting blunt cuts. I know they make your hair look thicker. I know they are in vogue now. I personally think that what you should do is let your hair grow as much as you can. Minimize the amount of trims you get to what is strictly necessary. Follow the natural layers of your hair, and when you get to your ideal length, then get a blunt cut you maintain. This is one of my biggest pet peeves. I hate stylists that make people believe your hair is unhealthy if it's in anything but a blunt cut. In the same vein, you have trimming around a schedule.
Social media got everyone thinking they should get trims every 6 to 8 weeks, but that's not true. Your trim regimen is based on your hair grip. People who typically practice a good hair care routine and keep their hair in flat twists, two-strand twists with their natural hair, typically only need trims once or twice a year. You are natural and you wear a lot of silk presses. Typically, you're going to need trims more often, like every 6 to 8 weeks. And the reason being is because heat is drying to the hair, which leads to damage faster.
You don't need to stick to your schedule when it comes to getting trims. The only time that you need to trim your hair is when there are split ends or so many single strand knots that detangling has become a nightmare. I am a firm believer that you don't need to trim your hair for any other reasons than that. You can. It might look more aesthetically pleasing, but it's not a need. And in recent years, it seems like a lot of stylists have conflated what they find to be aesthetically pleasing and what is actual hair damage. I regularly see stylists referring to breakage as split ends when they are not the same thing. It's not because you have experienced breakage in a specific part of your hair that everything should be brought up to that level. To me, a good stylist should attempt to blend everything together. Trimming on a schedule goes in D tier. I don't think anyone should be doing this. Okay, so the next thing on my list is scalp massages. If you were on TikTok a few months back, there was a lot of drama with a woman that wanted to conduct an experiment and wanted to massage her scalp. I think it was for like 2 hours a day.
2 hour scalp massaging is the key, right? You probably heard me say it in other videos if you're new, but because you're scalp massaging 2 hours a day, and by 2 hours, I mean 10 minutes here, 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 and either 10 minutes back to here. So technically you're massaging 20 minutes per region of your scalp, 20 to 30 minutes, right? What is that doing? That's promoting blood flow. What does blood carry? Oxygen. Oxygen is wildly important. But if you want to keep your hair in the growth phase, pretty much at all times, the 2 hour scalp massaging is key.
People actually bullied this woman so bad, she stopped posting entirely. And I think it's very unfortunate because I would have enjoyed seeing the results of her personal experiment. Scalp massages. If you have fine hair, this is for you. There is encouraging data on scalp massages improving hair strength thickness. The evidence that we have is very limited. There are 2 studies done on this, but one of them involved people suffering from genetic pattern hair loss. So its results might not even apply to you if you're not dealing with the same kind of alopecia or alopecia at all. But the first study involves 9 men who experienced an increase in hair strength thickness after 6 months of daily massaging for 20 minutes. And this is probably where her hypothesis came from. I think she mixed up a lot of different concepts, and I think assuming that more of a good thing would result in a greater thing is faulty reasoning. It is possible that too much or incorrect massaging of the scalp would trigger excessive shedding. Because the research is so scarce, it's hard to know if the results of this study are even applicable to women or people who are not suffering from alopecia. And you have to be doing these daily massages for a substantial amount of time minimum before seeing actual results. This is not going to hurt you. The evidence is promising. I think this is one of those things that when everything else in your routine is perfect, you can add on. So I'm gonna put it into low A tier. Okay, so next on my list are DIY hair masks. I know that I'm getting into a very dangerous territory because a lot of the naturals that we have seen grow really long hair are big fans of DIY hair masks. I am personally very anti DIY hair masks. I don't think most of them work because people either apply skincare logic to hair, and a lot of the concepts that we know to be true when it comes to skincare do not apply for hair care, or because people will take ingredients that have a lot of benefits on paper and assume those benefits will also apply to their hair. They end up just wasting food. A good example of this is that viral Cardi B hair mask. Had avocado and banana and honey in it, but the problem is that avocado and banana most likely have molecules that are too big to penetrate into your hair, and honey is water soluble, so you remove everything when you rinse the mask out, so you might as well just put olive oil on your hair and eat the avocado, the banana, and the honey. There are so many well-formulated products on the market that are meant to actually stay on your hair and make it softer. Cardi B has gorgeous hair because she braids it up on the wigs for weeks at a time. Whoever braids her hair is probably paid generously to do it in a way that won't be damaging for her hair. So I'm putting DIY hair masks into D tier, knowing full and well that a lot of people will disagree with me on this. Okay, next up I have washing once a month.
Wait, who told you that you're supposed to be washing your curls once a month? Because we need to talk about this like right now. I get that wash days are long, and if you have protective styles, that's different. But once a month? That's not even self-care anymore. That's just chaos. Your curls definitely deserve much better.
Hair washing frequency is extremely dependent on the individual and on preferences. I know that there are a lot of women that are able to grow really long and healthy hair by stretching their wash days as much as they can. I actually think that a lot of really long-haired popular naturals on YouTube stretch their wash days to about once a month. Generally speaking, it is better for you to wash your hair more often, even if you have kinky hair. Past a certain point, the longer you go without washing your scalp, the more irritated it will become. I'm well aware that a lot of people will be able to grow really beautiful, really long hair, stretching their wash days as much as they can. I just don't think it's the best thing for your scalp. It's not normal to have flaking on your scalp. It's not normal to have an itchy scalp. Those are often signs that you need to increase your washing frequency. I don't participate in hygiene Olympics. I just strongly believe that it's much better for you to wash your scalp on a regular basis. Let's talk about co-washing only and pretty much every other anti-shampoo method.
Co-washing is known as conditioner washing. This is done by replacing your shampoo with conditioner. So imagine rinsing your hair, adding conditioner, rinsing out that conditioner, and that is the end of your wash day. A lot of people who co-wash claim that co-washing adds moisture back into your hair in a different way and better way than shampoo can do to your hair. Co-washing too much over time will eventually make your hair very stiff and very heavy, with a lot of build-up and excess oils.
I'm so happy this has become less popular. Properly washing your scalp is especially important when you are a natural that use heavy products that can cause buildup on your scalp. Please use shampoos. Conditioners are not designed to clean your scalp, to remove oil and buildup. If you feel like moisturizing shampoos are still too drying for your hair, you can simply prepoo with conditioner, shampoo after and reapply conditioner again. Or if you really insist on co-washing, make sure to regularly use a clarifying shampoo. I remember when I tried the co-washing thing years ago, my scalp was always so flaky and itchy, and I didn't think there was anything wrong. There were a lot of things wrong. Co-washing goes in D tier, but I saw a less popular method of co-washing where it's done midweek to condition the hair. So let's say you're washing your hair once a week, but your curls feel dry by day 4. You co-wash on that day to make it to day 7. That sounds excellent, and it's not what I'm referring to here. I am talking about people who, generally speaking, avoid shampoos altogether, and I really don't think you should be doing that. I want to discuss all things heat. Now, starting with straight naturals.
The girls who are talking about straight naturals, they literally all have 2 scoops of hair. 2 scoops, maybe 3. I'll give you 3. Last year I started straightening my hair a lot. I think I got it straightened like 4 times. So around like 3 months out of the year, my hair is straight. And it is simply easier to take care of. Also, your hair is a lot healthier.
I am automatically putting straight naturals into C tier. Here's the thing. I don't think that most people realize that you don't always get heat damage in just one go. Of course, if you go to a stylist that has no idea what they're doing and uses heat that is way, way, way too high, you'll immediately end up with severe heat damage. However, for most people, heat damage is cumulative. I wish we spoke about heat the way we spoke about bleach and relaxers. It's not the same thing, but it's sort of all the same thing. The reason why your hair breaks off so easily after getting a relaxer is because it broke your disulfide bonds. It's also why it's hard to maintain colored hair. It's also why, by definition, hair that is heat damaged will break off more easily. And of course, there are stages to everything. You have very severe heat damage and you have mild heat damage. Like I said, this is cumulative, so you'll notice that over time, the ends of straight naturals will start losing up. This is because the ends are the oldest part of your hair and will have been straightened more often than the roots. Every time you straighten your hair above 284 degrees Fahrenheit, you are breaking down the proteins in your hair, and over time the curls will appear looser. This belief is also why so many people think that they put relaxers in Dominican hair salons. I think they just use extremely high heat, completely obliterate your disulfide bonds in one go, and that's why the hair ends up looking so straight. It's all the same thing. I completely understand the logic behind the thought that less knots will help you retain more length. But if your ultimate first goal is to grow the healthiest, longest hair that you will ever have in your life, there are other much less damaging ways. When you're seeing straight naturals influencers on TikTok, pay attention to their curl pattern and remember it's easier to straighten hair that is less kinky, and therefore they might not need to use heat as high as you would. And there is a lot of social media survivorship bias. The women who have tried becoming straight naturals but who have failed are not making TikTok accounts showing you how to become a straight natural. They're just at home trying to save the hair on the head. The other side of the coin is people telling you that you should avoid all heat altogether. If you are not new to my channel, you know that I love heat. I will never stop using heat on my hair because I do not like shrinkage. However, I also fully acknowledge that heat is damaging. And when I talk about these topics, I think sometimes people think that I am taking a moral stance. I say that I don't think that braids are good for your hair. Therefore, I put braids in a morally bad category. I say that heat is damaging. Therefore, straight naturals go into the morally bad category. It's not the way that I reason. Everything here is morally neutral. There is a threshold at which heat is really bad for your hair, and the further away you go from that threshold, the worse it is. I'm not against the idea of doing damaging things to your hair because hair is supposed to be enjoyed. For the sake of objectivity, I have to put the advice to avoid all heat into high A tier. The only reason I am not putting it into S tier is because I think it's really hard to avoid single strand knots entirely if you wear your hair out on the regular and never use heat. I know that there are other methods to stretch your hair, but they still result for some degree of single strand knots for me, even though they minimize them. Okay, next up we have back-to-back protective style. Because of the videos that I did on protective styles, a lot of people think I'm against them. I'm actually really not. Matter of fact, I think proper protective styling is the fastest way to achieve your hair goals. Emphasis on the word proper. Anything that hurts your scalp is not protective. Anything that makes it impossible for you to reach your scalp and wash your hair is not protective. Anything that is likely to break your hair or irritate your scalp is not protective. There is nothing wrong with putting your hair into a few plaits, slapping some oil and hair grease on top and redoing them 2 weeks later. If your sole and only goal is length retention, that is the best way by far. I think it's actually how a lot of naturals on YouTube have managed to grow their hair to crazy lengths. If I ever reach a point where my routine is not working out for me anymore, that's actually what I'll do. Anyhow, this is definitely S tier for me. Okay, the final thing on my list is biotin / hair vitamins. You probably have heard of biotin, even if you don't know what it is. Back in 2016, anyone with a big following was getting sponsored by that gummy bear company. Remember that? Well, those gummies were essentially biotin. I think there was other stuff mixed in there, but they were essentially biotin. They promised you they'll make your hair grow faster and longer, and it was a lie. For some reason, biotin is extremely popular in things related to hair and nails, even though the only time it can actually help is when you suffer from a biotin deficiency, which is quite rare. If you're eating a balanced diet, you most likely do not have biotin deficiency. If you're not eating a balanced diet, well, you should start eating a balanced diet. You should not start taking biotin. Biotin and other hair vitamins and supplements are all going in D tier. Please just save your money. This is the final ranking. I may make a part 2. Some of you seem to really enjoy these type of videos. Please let me know in the comment section what you think, what you agree with, what you disagree with. Do not take anything personally. These videos are mainly for entertainment. Let me know what you'd like to see featured in a part 2. I see you next time.